Have you ever wondered what it actually takes to scale an e-commerce brand from 7 to 8 figures? Maybe you're trying to do it yourself and you're coming across multiple issues and never done it, so you don't really know what is the right thing to do. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to do it and how to take your e-com brand from 7 to 8 figures based on what we've seen with dozens of e-commerce brands in the last 2 years, because we've helped them make over $25 million just in the last 2 years. So make sure that you watch it. I'm going to cover everything you need to know. So again, this is the question that you're probably asking yourself, how to do it, how to go from 7 to 8 figures. And it might seem to be impossible, but trust me, it is possible. I've seen this happen firsthand multiple times over and over again. So it is possible. Now, let me just cover that essentially what you could do, or like the initial solution, is spending more. Okay. So if you're a 7 figure brand, you could get to 8 figures just by spending more. Because if you are at ROAS, 2x, then you need to spend $41,666 per month or $1,300 per day. Because if you take this number, you multiply it by ROAS 2 and multiply it by 365 days, it would make your brand a 7 figure brand. Now, you can do the same thing, but just add 1 0 essentially, right? So you would spend, instead of spending 1,300 per day, you would be spending 13,000 per day, right? And that was 2x. Once again, if you multiply it by 365 days, that would give you the 8 figure brand. And I know this does not answer your question, especially that if you look at, the simple graph, the first thing you're going to notice is probably the cash flow issue. Because if you're going from spending 1,300 to 13,000 per day, then you will most likely need a lot of cash in order to do this. Okay, so you can't do it overnight unless you own a money printer. But other than that, it will be pretty much impossible to turn the ad spend by 10x overnight. Another reason that it might be hard for you is raising customer acquisition cost, because you have a specific number of potential prospects or potential clients. So your total addressable market is, I don't want to say limited, because that's like self-limiting belief. But the truth is that there is a pool of specific customers that will buy from you. And as you start scaling, your customer acquisition cost will rise, just because your ads are being seen by more people. Some of these might do better, some of these might do worse. So your customer acquisition cost will rise. And what is followed by all of that is lower profit margin, because if you are scaling hard, you have way more expenses. And at scale, it's very hard to maintain a very, very nice profit margin, especially with your customer acquisition cost rising all the time. So now, ads aside, what is the number one thing that can help you with all of these issues and get your customer acquisition cost down, LTV up, and make more profitable sales? Well, enter the good old emails. And before you click off this video, I'm going to cover exactly the math behind it and how it works and how you can create the snowball effect to bring in like so much money, like 6 figures per month in extra revenue, and the actual setup that you need to do in order to do it, and also like some other factors that play a role in all of this. So now, building your email list will always be a byproduct of running ads or getting more traffic in general, because you might be getting a lot of organic traffic, and then like if people come in, they're going to join your email list, and you're going to build it as a, again, byproduct of all of that. And if you're able to consistently generate certain revenue per recipient, so you would have a static revenue per recipient, your total revenue will incrementally go up, which is going to be the snowball effect. Let's say you have 1,000 customers, and actually, let's use an example over here, okay? So I'm using the ad spend as well example. I'm just like kind of expanding it on how your email list would work. So now let's assume that you're a 7 figure brand which has 20,000 email subscribers. Your revenue per recipient is 10 cents, which is fairly okay. We've seen higher ones, but for a regular brand, 10 cents is gonna be okay. That's gonna be fairly healthy. And the average monthly emails per recipient is 12. Now, no, it's not spamming your people or audience. It's not spamming your subscribers. 12 per month is a very safe number, where you're actually delivering value and showing what you want to show. But people aren't being annoyed, but like, oh my god, this brand is sending so many emails, I want to unsubscribe or mark them as spam or whatever. So following this example, total monthly recipients is essentially your email list multiplied by the average monthly emails per recipient, which in this case is 12, which gives us 240,000 monthly recipients. And then if you multiply total monthly recipients by revenue per recipient or average revenue per recipient, that's going to give you total list monthly revenue of $24,000. And again, if you're a 7 figure brand doing 100K per month, $24,000 from your email list is not a bad score. It's 24% of total revenue. It could be higher, but overall, it's not bad, okay? Now, let's assume that your pop-up convert at 5%, and you're getting 15,000 monthly impressions. Again, this data of impressions isn't random. We've actually looked at some of the accounts we are running or we used to run. And now we used to run for brands that are now bigger than 7 figures, but when they're at the level of 100K per month, this is something they would get. Obviously, it depends very heavily on the how expensive your products are, what's your AOV, LTV, all of that. But overall, let's assume it's 15,000 impressions. Then if you multiply impressions by conversion rate, then you'll be getting 750 new subscribers per month. So this number right here, or this graph, is showing you how your email list revenue would change if you didn't change anything. Okay, so that's assuming that you're making 100K per month, your ad spend doesn't change, your ROAS doesn't change, but the only thing that changes is your list growth because you have the pop-up. So every single month you're driving the same amount of every single month you're driving the same amount of traffic. You are not increasing the ad spend, and you have the pop-up which is not being improved. It's at 5%, which is very safe. We've seen pop-ups convert at 10 to 15%, so trust me, 5% is safe. And you're growing your email list by 750 new subscribers every single month. Again, this was month 0, if you will, this example, and then all of these months are being followed by this list growth. So if you look at this, by the end of month 12, you're going to make 10,000 more revenue, $10,000 more revenue per month just by growing your email list. That's yearly over 120K extra revenue. Again, assuming that you're still making 100K per month, you have the same ad spend, and do not optimize your email's performance. Because again, if you will be starting at this point, 25% is on the lower end of your benchmarks, and you should be seeing this number being a little bit higher. Of course, again, it depends on on the brand you're running, because that's why I don't like benchmarks in general. But my point is that 24% is a fairly low number, and you can definitely take it higher. And if you would do nothing with your emails at all, if you would be just consistent at sending the same emails and campaigns and so on, you would make 10K per month more just by growing your email list. Okay. But now this is when things get interesting, because let's now multiply this example by 10. So let's assume that you would scale your ad spend, and your email list is 10x bigger because your brand is 10x bigger as well. Instead of doing 100K per month, you're doing 1 mil per month. So your email list would be 200K people, same amount of revenue per recipient, same amount of average monthly emails per recipient. Obviously, total list monthly recipients is going to be bigger because the email list is bigger as well. And now total monthly revenue is 240K. So if you're an 8-figure brand, your list generates right now 240K, which is, a quarter of your total revenue. But now following the same example, this is how it would change. So again, by the end of month 12, you would essentially be making $108,000 more per month, which is like 1.2 mil per year in extra revenue only from your email list. This is why growing it is so important. Again, extra monthly revenue would be 99K, and then extra yearly revenue would be 1.1 mil. But now let's take it one step further, and let's assume that your pop-up would improve from 5% to 10% just because you made a few optimizations. What you would do in this example is slash your email list growth by half. So normally if you would get to 348K and at the end of month 12, in this example, you would do it at the end of month 6, which is 2 times faster. And in this example, by the end of month 12, you'd be making an extra 200K revenue, and extra yearly revenue would be 2.4 mil. Again, this is for a brand doing, like 1 mil per month. So extra monthly revenue, 200K, is huge because that's like 20% uplift just by focusing on growing your email list and improving your pop-up. And mind you, we didn't even get to optimizing your revenue per recipient, so sending better emails, or average monthly email per recipient, because we can also send more emails than 12. We can send 15. And if you send more emails, which is 15, and your revenue per recipient doesn't change, then you would be making also way, way more money. That's why this is so powerful, because it's extremely scalable. And the best thing is that even if you're an 8-figure brand and you have an email list of 200K people, and you still turn off the ad spend, the list revenue will most likely, it will change because you also have automations, but the fact is that you'll still be able to make in like extra 150 to 200K just from the email list alone. Even if you were to turn off all of your ads and everything else, you would still make a ton of money, and you would essentially be making more than a 7-figure brand with an ad spend. This is why your email list is so important, And trust me, we've seen this happen over and over again because we've worked with multiple 7-figure brands that are now 8 figures. So we've seen this happen, we've helped them make it happen, and this is how you scale it pretty much, because with your email list, cash flow is becoming less of an issue, right? Just because you're pretty much getting more sales from people who are on your email list. So you don't need to spend anything to acquire them because they're already acquired, right? As you remember, they're a byproduct of running ads. So they're acquired. You don't need to pay them extra. You don't need to run any lead gen campaigns whatsoever. These people are a byproduct of what you would be doing anyways. So all of the numbers you're seeing on the screen right now, these are an extras, right? Because you could not have you could get rid of the pop-up, you would not have it on the website, and you wouldn't have all of this. And your scaling would be so much harder because you would be making way less money. And like if you would not be sending emails, the 8-figure brand will most likely would still be a 7-figure brand, just because how powerful the email list is. Like the email list alone in this example, it would be making like around 2.8 mil, which is huge, right? That's why it's so important. Okay, but now how do you transition all of this into an actual action plan that you can implement for your brand right now, right today? So there are 3 main areas that you really need to focus on. First one is deliverability. So your emails can't get shut down like an ad account. You can't, get your emails rejected, or nobody can ban your email list and prevent you from using it. But your emails might not be seen if they land in someone's spam folder. This growth, essentially the faster it grows, the more subscribers you have, the more revenue you make. This example showed it perfectly, where you essentially would be, getting the results that you would have here in the 12 months, you'd get them in 6 months. So we're saving time and making more money, which is the ultimate goal of your brand. You want to scale, and you want to scale fast and faster. And the third one is content or klaviyo account setup, or actual emails that you would need to send. Because once you have the 2 of the above, so your emails are not going to spam and your email list is growing, and it's growing fairly fast, then you must know what, when, and how to send. So now I'm going to cover all of this. For deliverability, and like all of this, everything I'm going to cover is going to be fairly simple. I have really simplified it so that you can understand it and implement it for your brand right away. So deliverability, the first thing you want to do is run deliverability tests and add your domain to Google Postmaster tools and see what's going on. Like, what is your deliverability if you're going to spam? Because if you are, then you can just implement the action plan that I'm going to show you right now, and you would get out of spam and into the primary tab, into the primary folder. So then you want to do the technical setup, which is setting up branded sending domain. I have a separate video on that. It's going to take you less than 10 minutes, and you need to do it just once. So do it right now. Then you have to set up SPF, DKYM, and DMARC records. SPF, DKYM, they should be set up after you set up the branded sending domain. But DMARC record has to be added manually, which I have video on that as well. So just make sure that you watch it. Now, you want to make sure that you have only high intent flows with 1 to 2 emails in each flow maximum. That's because the further down the flow, so if you have like 5 emails, email number 1 is going to have higher open rate than email number 5. That's because, again, further down the flow, the lower your open rate. And if you have some kind of low intent flows like site abandonment or browse abandonment isn't that high of a high intent flow, then you want to pause the other emails and make sure that you have only 1 or 2 in each flow. Then you want to warm up your sending domain by sending to narrow and highly engaged segments. What I mean by that is that you should have segments which are like engaged 7, engaged 15, engaged 30, and these are the people that you should be emailing in order to warm up your domain correctly. And after you do it, over time, you want to expand to broader segments and turn on all of your flow emails back on, okay? You don't want to do it over time. You can't do it instantly after 1 week or 2 weeks, because then what would happen is your deliverability would take a hit because you would burn your sending domain. So you want to do this over time, week after week, monitor what's going on, monitor your open rates, spam rates, bounce rates, deliverability, IP reputation, domain health, and so on. If they're looking good, expand and keep expanding until you hit pretty much your whole list with a decently high open rate. Now, after you've got deliverability in place, it's time to grow the list. So first thing you want to do is make sure that you have 2 separate pop-ups. One is going to be for desktop, one for mobile. First, the reason behind it is that you can have different triggers. Second thing is that you just want to analyze the data separately, because some variations may do better on desktop while the others might do better for mobile, and you want to optimize both in order to have the highest conversion rate possible you can have. The other thing that you want to have for your list growth or your pop-up is having a strong incentive, which is the reason why someone should subscribe. Usually this is going to be some kind of offer, 10% off, $20 off, free gift, free shipping, any kind of offer really works. But you also want to A/B test them to see which one would do the best. Then you want to make it very easy to say yes. So if you're asking people for 5 different things in the first step, you're going to put them off and most of them won't fill it out and convert because you're asking them to leave the email address, their name, their phone number, their birthday, and their dog's name. Then it's too much friction for them. Like they don't care, they don't even want the discount because it takes too much time and effort from their side. It should be very easy to say yes, it should be effortless, and again, very, very easy for them to move through all of these steps and fill out the information that you need. SMS opt-in, which if you have it, and you should be optional. You can't force people to do this because otherwise your whole pop-up submission rate will drop as well. Then you want to adjust the trigger based on your average session time. Otherwise, it might heavily decrease your conversion rate. So just go to your tool, the tool that you're using for heat maps or tracking sessions or whatever. It can be Hotjar, Microsoft Clarity, Lucky Orange, anything else. Take your average session time and trigger your pop-up a little bit faster. So if your average session time is like 50 seconds, you don't want to trigger the pop-up after 5 because that's going to interrupt the whole journey for the customers. You can trigger it after like 25 or 30 seconds where someone is still going to be on the website, and we know this because we know the average session time, but then we're showing them the actual pop-up with the discount, which is going to be more relevant than if they just came to the website and you're already, attacking them with the pop-up. Copy and design, keep it extremely simple. You want to make clear what the offer is, and everything has to focus on the offer only. If you're making the copy too long or having too many images, people will get distracted or they even won't read the entire thing. They'll just close the pop-up and ignore it. So again, make it super clear, short, and to the point. Otherwise, it won't do well. And now I'm gonna come to the actual Klaviyo account setup or actual emails that you want to be sending. So this is your email list, and you want to be split it into automations, which is flows, and then campaigns as well. For your automations, you need to have all of them if you want to make the most revenue possible and maximize your revenue per recipient across the whole account. Welcome flow with 5 emails, abandoned checkout, abandoned cart, browse abandonment, site abandonment. This one is here by mistake. So because it should be window shoppers actually. So let me just change it, but it should be window shoppers. You need to have it as well. The trigger will be joined the segment. Then you want to also have post-purchase flows, which is the regular customer thank you, replenishment, customer win back, and first purchase anniversary. As you can see, there's like a small split in between these. That's because the ones on the left are the pre-purchase flows and the ones on the right are post-purchase flows. Essentially, not to make you walk through all of those emails, what you want to accomplish with your pre-purchase flows is remove all of the objections someone might have for not buying from you. So do I trust this brand? Okay, I'm going to show you reviews, right? You're going to show them in each of the flows. Browse element, cart, checkout, and welcome flow. Depending on the flow, this could be a different stage of the flow, but you want to show them. You also want to talk about your guarantees. You want to remove as much risk from those customers as possible. For browse, checkout, and cart abandonments, you want to remind them like, hey, you've been browsing for the website or you left this in your cart, check this out, finish your purchase. You also want to be giving them some kind of incentive to finish the purchase. You don't want to do it within the first email of each flow. You want to make it like around third or even fourth in some cases, where you add in the discount code as an incentive to finish the purchase. But yeah, overall, all of these flows should be removing the objections, including the welcome flow. And if you want to learn how to, prepare all of these and use these high converting structures with all of the email examples, I have a separate playlist covering everything you need to know about the flows. I've got every single flow covered, so make sure that you watch it and you're going to learn exactly how to implement it both in Klaviyo and then how to prepare the actual emails that will convert very, very well. Then we also have site abandonment, which is a very short flow, just showing some bestsellers. And then window shoppers, this is like triggered of the segment, which is going to be essentially like a little bit of a mix of browse and cart abandonment, but it's going to be triggered of the segment and it's going to exclude anyone who's been in any of these flows. And trust me, it converts very well because as the name suggests, these are people who are window shoppers. So they're very close to making the purchase, but they lack something. So with this flow, we want to push them for the edge and we want to make them buy from you. Then for the post-purchase flow, you want to essentially build a relationship with those customers. You want to learn them how to use the product, make sure that they know how to use it. Because if they know how to use it, first of all, they're going to get the results. They're going to love you because of this. Secondly, if it's something works for them, they're going to come back and buy more from you just because it works and it gets them results. For replenishment flow, it won't be applicable to every single brand, but if you have a product that can be replenished, you need this flow for sure. Customer win back flow, another one. If you want, customers are about to churn, so the post purchase didn't make them buy, the replenishment didn't make them buy. We target them with the customer win back flow, which is again the flow that is very, very close to prevent people from churning, or it is to prevent those who are very close to churning. If they're about to go anyways, then you can as well just give them a discount and try to convince them with some new arrivals by showing them bestsellers and still comparing yourself to others. Because if they didn't buy from you and they still have the problem, then most likely they're buying from someone else, okay? And then another flow, which is first purchase anniversary. I personally love it because the gifting angle is great. You don't need their birthday information for this, so we are making your pop-up convert better by not asking for it, but you still have this gifting angle, which again, it converts extremely well, so make sure you set up this flow. Now, this will be the first part of the account setup. Again, if you want a detailed breakdown of every single one of these flows, I have a separate playlist on that, which has a tons of videos covering all of this. So make sure you watch it. I want to make this video as short and to the point as possible. But now that brings me to the campaigns. With campaigns, you should be emailing your email list at least 3 to 4 times per week. And this is the very simple split that you can use. So essentially, you could be emailing non-buyers once per week. You could be emailing buyers once per week as well. You could be emailing your engaged segment once per week too. And then buyers reactivation once per week as well. Usually the best practice is to target the engaged one 2 to 3 times per week. And then the other ones you can kind of mix in. So for buyers and buyers reactivation, this could be one campaign. Unless you have a huge list, like more than 200k people, then you can, make one campaign for each of the segments. But otherwise, I wouldn't really recommend it because you would be pretty much decreasing your total revenue just to maximize some metrics like click rate and whatnot, which don't really matter. We want to maximize for the revenue. We want to make as much sales and money as possible. So you need to target your engaged segment, go fairly broad, and then have a few campaigns here and there targeting non-buyers and buyers with different messaging. If you're wondering how to set up all of those segments, I have a separate video on that as well. Just gonna show up right on the screen right now. It's super easy, don't overcomplicate it, and just send good emails. This video also gonna cover, the video I mentioned is gonna cover the exact examples of the emails that you should be sending for any of those segments. So again, make sure you watch it, it's extremely valuable. The only video you need about email segmentation. But this pretty much, all of this combined, so the durability, lead growth, and this kind of setup is how you can get from 7 to 8 figures profitably. And we've done this over and over again. And if you're not getting there, then most likely you have an issue with one of those elements. So either your emails are going to spam, your list is not growing fast enough, or you have, not the wrong account setup. You maybe have the wrong flows, maybe you don't have all of the flows, or maybe you're sending not enough or wrong campaigns. Now, if you want to learn more about how to optimize your Klaviyo account, there's going to be a link below this video, which is going to be the complete Klaviyo optimization guide. But also to help you with the other two issues, I'm going to have a complete guide on deliverability and list growth as well. All of these are going to be linked in the description down below, and they're also going to be in the pinned comments. And again, all of these free guides are going to be free. So deliverability guide, list growth guide, and Klaviyo optimization guide. So make sure you download them because it costs you literally nothing, but you can optimize, any of those areas and essentially scale your brand easily. So that would be it for this video. Make sure that you download your free guides. And if you want to learn about, everything about email segmentation, watch my other video, which is going to show up on the screen right now. Thanks for watching. Cheers.